Yo, what's poppin', Bagel Bros, and welcome back to another Patreon rant. If you want one of these, go to the link in the description, go to my Patreon, and shoot me $5. Or 10, I won't stop ya. This one comes from White, who says, rant about writing. All the things you like about it, all the things you hate about it, what writing is for you, why writing, all of that. Also, this is something I want to add, just talk about it if you also consider this a valid thing. For me, writing is like Bakemonogatari 2009. In other words, you have so little, literally just words, that you are quite limited in what you can fully do. But it's this limitation that gives the writer a contradictory freedom of creativity. You are not tied to reality and its limitations, you are tied to your own creativity. It is in that moment where you are most limited. Bakemonogatari 2009 had almost no budget, that's where my analogy comes from, lol, where your creativity flourishes the most. That is a lot to take in. Yeah, so writing is, like you said, very limited. And by the way, I've also done writing rants before this. I think 2 of them. I forget a lot of what I said in the first one because it was ages ago, before I had written my latter 2 novels, I'm pretty sure. So that's gonna be interesting to look back on someday. But yeah, in terms of writing, I feel like I've gotten to a lot of my thoughts about it already, so I guess I'll just go off of what White is saying here with it being limited. The limitations of writing can be frustrating sometimes because the pace is inherently slower than it is in anime, right? You have to read things line by line, word by word. Meanwhile, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and so you can just blast, the viewer with what would be paragraphs in writing in just a few seconds in anime. But it also leads to more abstraction, which means that you can get away with, you can get away with certain things that you can't in anime and in visual mediums, where, if you, I heard this example from the JoJo author in a interview with Nisio Isin, where he said that if it's part of the plot that someone drew the most beautiful painting in the world, in a novel you can just write that they drew the most beautiful painting in the world. But if you're drawing it, you have to draw what is convincingly the most beautiful painting in the world. And that's no small order, right? That's not something you can just do automatically. And so it does allow you certain freedoms in that regard. And it also allows you to more seamlessly bounce between monologue and, character action. You can intertwine the two in a way that feels clumsy in anime. So for example, if you're describing a fight scene, you can also describe the rationale behind each of the characters' punches. But in an anime, you'd have to show them punching, but also have him saying, okay, I'm gonna punch this direction, so that he gets distracted, and I'm then gonna use that to punch in this direction and kick him, and you'd have to have this whole monologue, this what feels like a break from the action in anime, whereas in a novel it feels integrated into the action, and that is a powerful thing. But it is also easy to abuse, where a lot of my early novels have fuckloads of monologue, because with every description you can also add a character's thoughts about it. You can seamlessly interweave, backstory of the location with its physical description in ways that the reader can't miss. And so, it can be easy to get carried away with that power. Another thing about writing is that it is a lot more linear than anime, or other visual mediums in general. So for example, if you're looking at a scene, it is a lot easier to miss details on screen than if you're writing a novel, where you have to at least read over the description of the details. And, maybe you're not paying as much attention to that line and something skips your mind, but nonetheless you are forced to, at the very least, go through that line with your eyes visually. And that is yet another advantage of writing, right? Now, in terms of more general stuff about writing and why I like it, it has been a while since I've written something, unfortunately. And by that, I mean fiction, not YouTube, right? But fiction writing, what I like about it as compared to YouTube is that it is a lot more freeing. And part of this is because I know the YouTube metagame. I know how to hack people's psychology to keep them watching. Not well, as evidenced by me not being the biggest YouTuber, but I know the basics. I know what you're supposed to do. Sometimes I don't always do it, but, I try to. And so, knowing the conventions of YouTube front and back make it very difficult to actually break away from them sometimes. I know what is supposed to be the good opening to a video, one that starts as quick as possible typically, but for my genre, i.e. documentary, and granted this is something that also is just good writing period, but the other day I was writing the intro to one of my upcoming videos, and I spent probably 2 hours writing probably 3 hours, I think. 3 hours writing 600 words. And you might think, how the fuck? How does that work? I obsess over my intros. I really do. Each intro is, my VTuber video had 3 different intros, and this is the one that I finally went with, the one in the final draft. 3 different intros! Yeah, I try really hard with the intros, and that's why it takes so long to write them. For my Dungeon Meshi video, I was having artist's block for the intro one day, so I just said, fuck it, we're doing it tomorrow, and then the next day I grinded that intro. I probably spent as much time on the intro as I did the rest of the video. I wanted to cut every extraneous word from that intro, and I'm probably going to do the same for the intro I wrote in 3 hours for this upcoming video. I'm not even done with the intro. I've got the first half of it done, or probably the first 2/3, and I am really proud of it. It's a really solid piece of writing, but knowing the conventions sometimes limits it being easy, whereas with writing, it's very much still a hobby to me. It is not something that's immediately, in my immediate future going to become a career option. It's still a pipe dream, and it being a pipe dream also gives me certain flexibility with it, where I can, go on to these tangents that I think are fun and worthwhile, but not necessarily, algorithm optimal in a YouTube sense, right? And in addition to that, writing, you're expected to take longer. A novel is 75,000 words on average, something like that. A YouTube video can be any length, sometimes they are novel length, but the metagame is different. People expect things to be quick and punchy. I guess one of my comments asking for timestamps on my Dungeon Meshi video, even though it's 20 minutes. Why the fuck do you need timestamps for a 20-minute video? Just watch the damn video! He was looking for specific information on a video that didn't answer the question, by the way. He was looking in the wrong place. That was a baffling comment, but that aside, once again, people's attention spans are kind of short nowadays. And the stragglers who are still reading things, they don't really care as much about their attention spans. And, or at the very least, they aren't TikTok brain rot level yet. So that's another advantage to writing, as I see it now. Obviously, there's so much more to this topic. I've gone on and on. I think my last couple rants were both 20 to 30 minutes each. But I feel like this is a good overview of what I've been thinking about lately with writing. And I would like to get back to writing novels here, eventually. But right now, it's just not worth the time investment. My current videos are taking quite a while to get out, as evidenced by me not uploading this month, unfortunately. And so, yeah. I just don't have the time to write novels right now. Or at least I do have the time, but I am not interested in doing so when I have so little time. I could write them, but right now I think it's better to just leave it and get back to it someday. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.